So back in like 2010, I started working with a marketing firm that said, "Hey, you need to start standing on stages, and you need to do all this stuff." And I started podcasting around that time because it was simple for me. Like we weren't doing video. I could talk to a microphone. If I didn't like it, I didn't have to send it out, right?
Yep.
I learned a similar thing you did of it's a great way to make a connection. Like I'm connected with people I interviewed that I've known now for years. And it's just because we sat down and did an interview, right? I mean, that's the only reason, right? And so anytime we do primarily B2B marketing, so business to business, I don't know if that's what you say in the UK.
Yeah, we're B2B, I get it.
Yeah, B2B are really more like relational, where it's important to tell the customer what it is you do. You have to teach them what you do in order for them to trust you. And podcasting is one of our favorite things if a client's willing to do it, to kind of add to their group, right? Because it's a way to highlight their employees, highlight their customers, highlight what they do without.
Well, because it can be used for such a variety of purposes. I mean, like we teach it for business development, so you can go and win clients with it. We teach it for reaching your customers, monetizing the customers, monetizing the audience. We can teach it for, let's do something really simple. You know that you'll win more business if you're the keynote speaker at these large exhibitions in your industry globally. Well, the best way to make sure that you're getting signed up for those exhibitions is to start a podcast interviewing the event organizers and the existing keynote speakers of those events. That is the surefire way to get invites to some of these events. And it's so simplistic, but it's almost so simple, people don't think to do it.
Yeah, and it feels very difficult when we talk about it. It's like, it's actually not terrible, right? I mean, you have to have a process in place, and you have to kind of done and whatever. And the other little secret we found, giving away all the secrets of how it works, we have businesses where they can't get a case study. Like the customer will not give them a case study because legal won't approve it, blah, blah, blah. Like, invite them on your podcast. They'll say the exact
same thing. Oh, I love what you're saying. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So with you.
The exact same thing. And you're highlighting them, and, and depending upon the customer, they may be someone looking for the next position in their company, and they love being highlighted. Like, it shows what they do.
I'll give an example. We did one recently that was very similar to that. We had this customer who he was singing our praises but he, we like getting pats on the back, but that's kind of what we do now, I suppose. We don't do it for pats on the back, but this guy in particular I think his situation had been, business was not where he wanted it to be at all, and I think this was kind of like the last roll of the dice. Like, he was going to commit to this, but it really had to work for him. Fast forward like 6 months, he's now oversubscribed, and he's changing his prices, and he can't take any more coaching consultancy clients and stuff, and like, he's in a different place. So he's telling anyone that will listen, right? Yeah. When you've got a customer like this who is almost like an advocate of your work, they can say in 100 times more power and effect what I want to say to the customers. This person is saying, he's not selling you stuff. This is genuinely what happens. This is my business.
Yeah, so without having to actually even ever ask for a testimonial. And
exactly.
Talking about somebody who's doing thought leader work, the podcast platform, the ability to create content so quickly is so important, right? I mean, in B2B, you can get away with a little less content, just make sure it's rich and thick. Yeah. But if you're a thought leader, you got to be there all the time, like we've done all the time. So, all right.
So we brought this guy on to do a podcast because we thought, well, why not? Like, let's just bring the guy on and have a conversation. And it's got, I think we're up to like 6,000 downloads on that episode or something now. Okay, did it do as well as some of our normal interviews and normal shows? No, but that's 6,000 people that have sat and listened to some guy raving about my business and promoting his own at the same time, which is powerful. But from what you've just said, from a thought leader's position, you mean like a lot of business owners are kind of like, I would love to be an influencer in my industry. But what they actually mean when they say that is that they want to be famous so that loads of clients come to them so they don't have to work as hard to get them. Right. They don't actually want to be an influencer, because when you say, okay, well, who do you want to influence and what do you want to influence them to do or to think? And it's like, oh, I don't know, that I'm amazing. It's like, that's not influence. Yeah. But when you're talking about being a thought leader, and having that abundance of content, that's what I've loved about the podcasting, about the radio, and now about the television work that we do. Is that it's the power of repurposing content, right? Yeah. Because each podcast, I mean, I say as a minimum. So each podcast, let's say our interviews are about just under an hour because of the airtime that they get. So just under an hour, let's call it an hour for easy working. So what within that hour, we will have the full conversation of who they are, what they're all about, go through the story, get to know each other, and we just go down the rabbit hole and have some fun. That gets shared out as the podcast. Obviously, we're saying it gets distributed on new networks. We get 2 teasers out of that as a minimum. And then we also will take 10 static quotes, which get turned into images, 10 2-minute clips, and 10 30-second clips.
Yeah.
Video or screenshot or whatever it is. And then those things can get... most of our clients don't use them all, is the honest truth, because there's a lot. But they get to cherry pick what they want and what they want to share out. But that's one podcast. So you dedicating an hour to talking to that person on a podcast, which has strengthened your relationship, strengthened your knowledge, is a great way to network, as you said earlier. It's almost like speed dating, isn't it? Because you have like 30 seconds to get to know each other before you start recording. So it's like, this is me, this is my business, this is what I do, this is the important stuff about me, you go. Right. And I don't know any other setting where that happens. I mean, you wouldn't have that at like a networking event or an exhibition. Someone just come up to you and go, divorced, 2 kids, what are you doing?
Right.
But somehow it's okay in podcasting. So I love it it's a very powerful networking tool. It's a very, like, I would argue that having a podcast, YouTube channel, whatever for your business is arguably just as important as having a good website.
Oh, we talk about website, content, and then like social and SEO on the outside of it. And if you don't have those 3 things, then none of them are going to work, right? Because you got to have kind of those working. Yeah. And the thing we love about it, so you talk about all those, we break it up into the pieces, and then our social media team's typically managing the social media for the business as well. And it gives us something to talk about. Like, we hate clients who come to us who haven't created any content, because like there's only so many times we can tell people that you won this award or where your locations are or whatever. Like, there's got to be other things. So it's a really great way of creating kind of new stuff.